I hope that I can help someone out there who is also trying to heal from their birth. Hi guys, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. Today I'm gonna share my birth story to my son. It's been a year. It's about time. Let's get started. I've taken a while to share this birth story for a few reasons. The first is that I kind of needed to heal from it, not physically, because I needed to heal mentally. My birth wasn't, horrific or anything, but it wasn't what I expected to be, what I had prepared myself to be. And let me tell you, I prepared myself. I had an open mind that my birth wouldn't be the way that I wanted it to be, that I could have planned it to be. I had that open mind, but I just didn't know it would unravel the way it did. So to get started, even before I gave birth, I was pregnant before COVID and then during COVID. So in the middle of my pregnancy, COVID happened, and that was already kind of like a disappointing thing, because I had my sister who is in Brazil. Those who don't know, I'm from Brazil. My whole family still lives in Brazil. My sister is a midwife nurse, was going to come and help assist with my birth. She actually does used to do births at home, and she's amazing. So I was gonna have her support here with me, and I was excited for that. But because of COVID, she couldn't come. The borders were closed, so I kind of had to deal with that. And in the back of my mind, I think I was okay, but maybe I wasn't. So the day labor started was actually my due date. So the 28th was when I was due, and that was when I started laboring. But it wasn't that strong labor. Yeah, it wasn't an active labor. So during the day, I would have my contractions, which I had been having Braxton Hicks before, and that's what I thought it was, because my belly would harden and then relax and harden again. And but they were coming pretty consistent. They never stopped, which they usually do for Braxton Hicks, but they didn't this time. So I actually tried taking a nap, but when you take a nap, but in the back of your mind, you're still awake, you're still aware of surroundings. That's what was happening to me. I think because of the uncomfortableness, because of the contractions, I wasn't really able to rest, but I lay down and I was good. So that was the afternoon, and it comes 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'm getting them pretty consistently, and I'm talking to my sister throughout this whole time. I'm FaceTiming her. My husband's at work, and I just told me, when it's time, call me. I wanted to labor at home as much as possible, but I wanted him next to me too. So it was 7 o'clock. She's like, okay, you're getting contractions pretty regularly. This is it. You are in labor. Thiago is going to be born today. We thought the 28th. So called Diego. He comes right away. He prepares everything, puts everything in the car, and we kind of just relax at home. We kind of listen to music. I'm on the birthing ball, and we labor throughout the night. And a funny thing is that Diego had come from work, right? So he's been working all day since 8 a.m. And his last job was pretty labor intensive. He's like on his foot, he's standing all the time, going back and forth. So he's tired, but I'm like, you're not sleeping. So we don't drink coffee. So like, we didn't have anything for him to drink or to stay awake. And for me, I had my contractions, but for him, he didn't. So he took a pre-workout. So he chugged it. He's like, okay, I'm wired up. This thing should be done in like 5 hours. That's when the pre-workout should wear off. And he's awake and alert, and we're there. He's helping me through the contractions. So fast forward, it's the 29th. It's, you know, 3 in the morning, and my contractions are pretty regular. They are 3-1-1. And for those who don't know, this is kind of like a rule. This is when my contractions were 3 minutes apart, and they lasted for 1 minute during a duration of 1 hour. That's when my sister told me I should go to the hospital, when they were 3-1-1. Usually they tell you to go when it's 5-1-1 and when it's like 5 minutes apart, but I wanted to labor at home as long as possible. So I went to 3-1-1. I was like, let's go. We're gonna have this baby. And I get to the hospital, and my contractions, I mean, granted, they were really frequent, but I wasn't like dying. I was walking, and then I had to stop, and then I would go. So I wasn't screaming or anything, but it was uncomfortable. I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk while having them. But you know, so I get there. I thought I was maybe 7 centimeters dilated. I was 1 centimeter dilated, and so that was kind of disappointing. They thought I was on false labor, so they didn't admit me. They actually just left me in the room, kind of like the triage room, and Diego was in on this little chair, and I was just in the bed, and they put a monitor on my belly to monitor my contractions, and the nurse said, yes, you're having contractions pretty regular, and I don't know why you're not dilated. I'm sorry, but the doctor doesn't want to admit you because she thinks that you're not in labor, but let's check you for a few hours. Diego's looking to the monitor, and he's seeing that the contractions are coming, and he starts to kind of pressuring my back. They were very much on my back, the pain, so that helped a lot. I threw up because of the pain, or this is very common to throw up during labor. So fast forward, when we were at the triage at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, kind of don't remember what time. At 7 in the morning, they went to check me, and I think I was 3 centimeters after all night without sleeping. 7 in the morning, I am admitted in the room, and I kind of trying to birth, trying to labor. I go in the bathtub, I kind of just relax and try to do things that my sister kind of taught me and my husband to do, kind of pushing things to relax, listen to music. But it's just really slow, and by then I am not having any pain medication, so I'm not resting, I'm not sleeping. So when at 11 in the morning, there's a new doctor, a new OB, so she comes and checks me, and I'm 5 centimeters dilated by then. So she wants to break my water, and I have read about it, and then I knew that the contractions could be more intense, and that it could actually accelerate dilation, or just, you know, speed up the process of laboring, but it's also not for sure. So she told me, it's like, we can, or it's up to you, but she kind of wanted to, and I was just out of it. I was just so tired, and I said, okay, let's do it. So she broke my water. My water broke. The contractions were a lot more intense. I didn't know I was gonna get that intense. I was to the point I was, you know, holding on and shaking and kind of like wanting to scream. And so that was at 11. You know, fast forward a little bit. At 1, asked for epidural. I needed to rest. The pain, it was really, I just couldn't. So the anesthesiologist came and gave me the epidural. So we were able to rest. So throughout the night, I developed a fever, and it wasn't corona. I was tested. So what they thought it was, maybe that, oh, very important. When they broke my water, Thiago had meconium. My water had meconium in it. And then for those who don't know what that is, it's their first poop, that really black poop. And it's not ideal because they can swallow it, that can be bad for them. But I kept trying to ask the doctor, is it okay? Is it okay? And she said, no, it's fine. Well, you know, it's fine for now. If anything, I will let you know. So, you know, that was early afternoon. When it came at night, I had the fever, and they kept on checking me. I was at 5, I was at 6. I was just not progressing. It was the worst. And so the nurse came and she said, okay, we're gonna wait until tomorrow morning, and if you have not dilated fully, we're gonna have to do a C-section because you can't. It's just been too long. It's just not good for the baby or whatever. And I kind of got, you know, kind of scared. It's a surgery, and I didn't want to have a surgery. For those C-section moms, I admire you guys. That must be kind of scary. But I talked to Thiago, and he was just like, you're gonna be fine. I know you're gonna be fine. He actually had given me a blessing the day that I started my labor. So he says like, it's gonna be fine. So the next day and the next morning, I'm at 9.5 at 5, 6 in the morning. So they're like, okay, 7 in the morning, let's check you, and then we're gonna start pushing. So 7, I was at 9.5, almost basically 10. So they said, okay, we're gonna start pushing. And I started pushing. We tried all the different positions I could. So what ended up being is that Thiago his nose was a little turned, and he wasn't in like optimal space to make me dilate faster. That's why it was so slow. And the pushing was really hard too, because it would come and he would come out, he was kind of like stuck. So that was started from 7. When I was 10:30, they called the OB, and they're like, okay, so that's a different OB already from the one that had broken my water, because it's like the 3rd day. So that's the 30th. And so she comes and she's like, okay, let's do this. So she just gets in there and kind of turns his face to get his nose, you know, down right. And then I start pushing, and it's like, it's working, and she's like, keep going, and it's ooh, kind of emotional. It was kind of magical. It's a beautiful thing. So and then it was 11:05, and I'm looking at the clock, and I said he's gonna come at 11:11, you know, that like hopeful number or whatever. And I push him out at 11:09, and I'm just happy. And it was the most magical moment ever. He came out, and Diego and I were just hugged. They put him on my belly. You know, the umbilical cord couldn't reach on my chest, so they just put him skin to skin to me on my belly. And Diego and I were just hugging and crying, and it was beautiful. But yeah, and I just kept asking, is he okay? Because he came out and he didn't cry. He just came out, Diego says, with his eyes just looking around, and it was so cute. I couldn't see it, but I can just imagine his big eyes. So they said, oh yeah, it's okay. They kept on patting him and just rubbing him, and we waited a little bit to cut his umbilical cord, which was awesome. And then after a little, so the team took him right next to me, the ICU, the NICU team actually, took him and just checked everything. And the nurse, she couldn't get his oxygen quite right, and but she wasn't telling me. I kept asking, is he okay? Because he wasn't crying, he was kind of quiet. And then after an hour with me, that he was with me, we were actually trying to latch, and he latched for 4 minutes, and I counted, and they took him, and he went to the NICU, and they said they were just going to do some testings, and actually his oxygen saturation was very low, so he had to be put on the oxygen. And they said maybe for a few hours, and I thought, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my baby today. But then they said that they drew some blood, and his white blood cells count was low, and so they said they started putting him on antibiotics, which I forgot to mention, when I developed a fever, they put me on antibiotics as well. So I probably had an infection or something, maybe because of the meconium, we don't know. But he had to be with antibiotics and a bunch of IVs and fluids, and he was just full of stuff on him. It was kind of sad to watch, and I wasn't able to latch him on at the hospital, but we kept on trying. I pumped a lot. I would put alarm on my phone every 2 hours. I would wake up and pump, and then I would sleep for 2 hours and alarm, and I'd wake up and pump. So after 6 days, he was well. Actually, he got out of the oxygen after 1.5 days, and after 6 days he was done with his antibiotic treatment, and the doctor said he was healthy and strong, and he was really happy and satisfied to how he looked. And we took him home, and it was the best day. So that's my birth story. Yeah, it took me a while to be able to heal from it mentally. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. There will be more motherhood, parenthood videos coming as well. And so subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it.